Assalamualaikum. I am Nurul Azianti, the leader of my group, Aziz Group. I am here to present a synopsis and a plot that I have created before. So basically, this is the synopsis that I have made before. So it is actually 2 pages. This is page 1 and this is page 2. Start my story now. The story begins with one night there is an old man come to White's family house and introducing himself as Sergeant Major Morris. White family consisting 3 persons who are Mr. White, Mrs. White and Herbert White. After sitting and relaxing his body, he suddenly took something from his pocket and showed it to his 3 listeners. Mr. White asked for a specialty of that monkey paw, and he said that it has a spell put on it by an old fakir. An old fakir put a spell on it so that 3 separate men can have 3 wishes from it. Suddenly, he threw it to the fire and Mr. White saved it from burning. Morris were shocked and tell him that there will be consequences if he keep it. After Morris left the house, Mr. White started to use that monkey paw and asked for his first wish, which is he asked for 200 pounds. Unfortunately, there is nothing happened after that. There is no money in front of them. The next day, Herbert went to his work as usual. Suddenly, in the evening, there is one stranger come to their house and introducing himself as subordinate of Mew and Magins. He said sorry for coming to tell them bad news. That stranger tell them that Herbert died in the machinery, and he is also tell them that the company gave them 200 pounds as an compensation. The Mr. White and Mrs. White were shocked hearing the amount of the compensation and regret for their greedy attitude.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Safina Binti Johari. So today I'll be presenting the characteristic of the monkey's pose. And so yeah, the first one is Herbert White. Herbert White is the son of Mr. and Mrs. White, and he is a very respectful with other people. Herbert also is very lovely man, and he is the only one child who is surviving in the White family. Second is Herbert is working in an unknown capacity with heavy machinery, and the company was named Mouse and Maggie. Okay, the third one is it is possible, though not certain, Mr. White second hope was renamed her son Herbert as a scarecrow. So the second one is Mrs. White. Who is Mrs. White? Mrs. White is Herbert's mother and Mr. White's wife. So she is a very clever and passionate woman. She also shares her husband's feelings and her son towards Sergeant Major Morris. Third one is she is very traumatized about her son's death, and she also hopes that her son Herbert come back to life. So the third one is Mr. White. Who is Mr. White? Mr. White is Herbert's father and Mrs. White's husband, a poor man who had a long thought about exotic land he had never visited. Actually, the monkey's pose attracted him because it was related to the lands. And although Mr. White who makes all the 3 wishes, but he's made first so only for the suggestion from his wife and his son. Next is Sergeant Major Morris. Sergeant Major Morris is a friend of white couple, and Sergeant Major Morris is enjoying herself story about his adventuring traveling abroad. And guess what? He's the one who showed the monkey's pose. Actually, he did not encourage Mr. White to dream about India, and showing that life is more better and simpler at home in England. He's the one who threw the monkey's pose into the fire and recommended Mr. White not to make any wish. But finally, he's the one exactly tell him how to use it and how to make a wish. The last one is the representative. The representative is the one who tells the Mr. and Mrs. White about Herbert's death. and the nervous representative sympathizes with the White's family. They are coming to their house because they want to show their responsibility toward his birthday, and he was just following his order and not expressing his feeling. And the last one is he gave Mr. and Mrs. White £200 from the company. So that's all for me, and we go to the next part.
Hi back! Next, I will tell you about the plots. The plot have 5 different situations, which are exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. For exposition, it will tell you about what had happened in the beginning. For example, my exposition is about a moment when Sergeant Major Morris come to Mr. White house and introducing himself. Next, for rising action, I am writing about the first impression that White's family made towards the monkey paw and the excitement that they have when they know that the monkey paw have an ability to grant 3 wishes. For the climax, Mr. White have finally made his first wish, which is he won £200, but unfortunately there's nothing happen. There's no money in front of them. The next day, their son died and the missionary, and they got the compensation for about £200. For the falling action, Mr. and Mrs. White were so regret about having that greedy attitude. They attend their son burial and come back to their home with sorrow and silence. Mrs. White does not even stop crying because she missed her son so much. Suddenly, she woke her husband up and asked him to make his second wish, which is she wants her son to come back alive. Last but not least, the resolution that I made is there was a sound of knocking at their door. Mrs. White was so excited and thought that it was her son, but Mr. White catching her wife and told her that it is not Herbert. So, Mr. White immediately made his third wishes, which is please bring whoever that's standing in front of their door to their place back.
So next is setting. There are 2 settings found in this short story. First is Laburnum Villa, which is referred to where Mr. White and their Herbert live. And second is Mount and Maggie's, referred to name of the factory, which is where Herbert works. So next is theme. There are 3 themes in this short story. So first is that as Sergeant Major had mentioned how he get the paw, and is it a description how Mr. White's son, which is Herbert, died. So the second theme is Orientalism and the supernatural. Is it because the monkey paw have a supernatural to grant a 3 wish? So the last theme in this short story is fate. As a Sergeant Major had said, a very holy man put the grand wish, so the men have their own wish. So he think that people can change their own fate, but they can't. So we move to the moral value. There are 3 moral value in this short story. So first is we must be grateful for what we had. For example, Mr. and Mrs. White already have a completely life, but they still use the monkey paw to make a wish for money that they doesn't really need it. So the second moral value is we must thinking before making decision. Is it because, for example, Mr. White make a decision without thinking what will happen next, and is it because of his decision he lost her son, which is Herbert? So the last moral value is we must accept the fact. For example, Mr. White can accept the fact that her son Herbert died, so she falsely asked her husband to make a wish to get her son's life back.